They say you can't win your league in the early rounds, but you certainly can lose it. Here's 5 picks which can ruin your draft before it's even gotten started on the Fantasy First Down. And we're going to start things off with Nico Collins, who is being drafted in the first round.
You gotta be kidding me.
Collins was excellent early last year, but his usage was totally unsustainable, as evidenced by his wide receiver 29 finish across the final 8 weeks of the season. That was despite the absence of Stephon Diggs. And I know you can argue that that was mediated by injury, but he just plain did not look as effective. Collins also had the league's second highest end zone target rate last year, a number that will certainly drop with the addition of big man Jaden Higgins. Plus, his general target rate, which was already low, remains under threat from the new additions and fellow newbies, Christian Kirk and Jalen Knoll, who they picked up on day 2 as well. There's a lot to make you nervous about, and yet Nico will cost you a first-round pick. I'm tying my wagon to a different horse in my hunt for fantasy victories. For me, Nico should be going somewhere in the mid-second rounds. And speaking of the mid-second round, if you followed my stuff last year, you'd know I absolutely love Brock Bowers. I was extremely high on him last year and had him in nearly half of my 30 fantasy football teams. But this year is different. Not only is he being drafted too high for any tight end, when the position is so deep this year, he's highly likely to fall back to top 5 tight end production at best, as Sam Laporta did after a league-leading 2023. In Bowers' case, the issue is a massive change in target competition. Bowers caught over a quarter of the Raiders' 2024 receptions with 110, while Jacoby Myers was the only other player with over 50 catches on the team. This year, Ashton Genty arrives as a high-level receiving back who should garner about 80 targets compared to Amir Abdullah's 40 receptions last year, and that will cause a drop in passing due to his strong run game and strong receiving game. Meanwhile, the rookies, Jack Beck and Dante Thornton, are also highly thought of additions to the receiver room. Major upgrades over Trey Tucker, who had only 47 receptions as the second wide receiver, and DJ Turner, the wide receiver 3, with just 16 receptions last year. But hey, let's say Bowers somehow repeats his crazy 150 target season and puts up similar numbers. It's unlikely, but I'll go with you on it. Last year, he received 12 points per game in half PPR, the same amount as Trey McBride, and 2 less than George Kittle. He wasn't even the number 1 tight end last season on a per game basis. There is absolutely no reason to reach for Bowers when you can get McBride or Kittle a round or 2 later. Or you could even wait until the 9th round for David Njoku, who scored just 1.5 points less per game. This is an easy decision. Wait on tight end, at least for a couple of rounds. Now, to be fair, when you draft players really does depend on your league settings. That's where I'm here to help. If you need help with your draft, I can put together personalized rankings for you. If you email me at benwasley23@gmail.com for a very low price, I'll put together rankings specifically for your league. I had a lot of success in the last 2 years with people winning their leagues for the first time, and I would like to help you out as well. So feel free to shoot me an email and I will make sure that you are up the top of your league in 2025. Plus, if you've got any other questions or thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Instagram at the Fantasy First Down or on Twitter at Fantasy First Down with no O. I do answer all your questions over there. And finally, if you'd like to see my rankings, you can see them over at ffdfantasyfootball.com. And while I'm avoiding Brock Bowers in the mid-rounds, I'm likewise avoiding Drake London. Drake London will cost you a mid-second round pick, which is at least a round too early for me. Yes, he was the wide receiver 5 last season, if we include his ridiculous week 18, but on a per-game basis during the fantasy season, he was just the wide receiver 22, scoring just 2 points more per game than Darnell Mooney, his teammate, who you can draft 8 rounds later. Michael Penix may be the trigger for a big 4th season for the Falcons receiver, but if you draft London in the second round, you're losing any benefit from drafting a top 10 receiver while also carrying a heap of risk that it may not work out and he may end up as a wide receiver 20-ish. Let somebody else take the risk and draft for more upside or at least for more value. Speaking of a lack of upside, there is no chance that Kenneth Walker is a league winner, but he has the real potential to be a bust. The Seahawks' early down banger has yet to finish in the top 18 for running backs, and he has an unhealthy habit of missing a handful of games each season. Awkwardly, he's missed games due to right leg or abdominal injuries alone 7 times in the last 3 seasons for a total of 10 missed games. There's a high chance these injuries continue to repeat in 2025, but even if they don't, Walker's still unlikely to pay off. He's averaged just 3.7 yards per carry last season, half a yard less than his teammate Zach Charbonnet. And at times, he played less than half the snaps, rarely playing in clear passing situations. And when the team was behind, you could not trust him for fantasy, and they could be behind a fair amount this year. The interior offensive line is still one of the league's worst and could lead to a Walker benching. And what is all this risk for? Well, the best case scenario is that Walker stays healthy all season. He won't. Maintains a clear lead back role over Charbonnet. That's possible, but unlikely. And keeps his high touchdown efficiency. That would, at best, lead him to a top 15 running back fantasy finish. Exactly where you're drafting him. Where is the value? That is not winning you your league. You need upside. Kenneth Walker does not provide it. Now, I need to make a couple of things clear. Firstly, I'm a Chiefs fan. And secondly, I'm aware of Rashee Rice's pending suspension, but this has nothing to do with this. I'm avoiding all Chiefs receivers, running backs, tight ends, all of them. I don't want any part of this offense except maybe Isaiah Pacheco if it becomes clear that he is the lead running back. There's no way I'm touching Rashee Rice even until the mid-5th round, even if he doesn't have a suspension. And if he has suspension, that's going to push him back even further for me. This has everything to do with the Chiefs' offense, which is why I've also included all the other receivers as well. The Chiefs used to have a league-leading passing game, but in 2024, their passing yardage reduced by over 1,000 yards compared to their glory years only a few years earlier. That's no coincidence. The Chiefs' elite defense means they no longer need to throw for over 300 yards a game. They passed that mark just 3 times last year, and the top outing for Patrick Mahomes was just 331 passing yards. Compare that to 2022, when he did it 10 times, going over 400 yards several times. And to make matters worse, there's now a heap more target competition in town. In 2023, Rashee Rice was the wide receiver 22, despite being the only wide receiver of note. Last year, Xavier Worthy was the wide receiver 30 as the top receiver. Now, they must not only compete with each other, but with Hollywood Brown, who will get a lot more targets than last year's wide receiver 3. That was Justin Watson. He got just 22. You add in Travis Kelce, a healthier Isaiah Pacheco, and an excellent receiving back in 7th round of Brashard Smith, and you have a recipe for absolute disaster. And here's a little bonus advice as well. Travis Kelce is also a total avoid for me this year, even though he's going in the 6th round. And I should mention, he has been my favorite player in fantasy for much of the last decade, but he's a total hard pass. All the previous issues apply to Kelce. Plus, he looked totally washed, doing little in the playoffs last year and struggling for production through much of 2024. He finished the year as the tight end 8 on a per-game basis, and he's being drafted as the tight end 6. How is he going to do better when he's a year older, has less of a role, has a heap of wide receiver target competition? It just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Stop drafting Chiefs receivers. I'll be back in the coming days with more, but this time I'll be telling you the players you definitely should be targeting if you want to win your league in the early rounds of your draft. So look forward to seeing you then.